President Buhari assures the federal government's commitment towards rapid and strategic transition to renewable energy.
Senate calls for pay-per-view plans on paid television.
The SSR is all related privately, so almost every 2 years needs to be properly checked and addressed.
The House of Representatives urges relevant authorities to assist communities affected by flood.
Residents of the affected communities are living in total fear of being permanently displaced by raging floods.
Good morning, Nigeria. Today we shall focus on the internal wrangling in the People's Democratic Party, PDP.
So, a house divided against itself, unquote. Now, if Abraham Lincoln was alive today, he probably would be directing this famous speech to political parties in the country. The circumstances may differ, but the consequences of a crack in the wall cannot be wished away if it is unattended to.
Well, Claire, as you very well know, the crack on the wall of, say, the opposition People's Democratic Party is widening, and there appears to be no end in sight to the division of the once acclaimed largest political party on the African continent.
All right, and since inception of the party some 24 years ago, only one chairman had served his term out. Now, from the pioneer chairman, Solomon La, to Barnabas Jamadi, to Audu Ogbe, Ahmadu Ali, Vincent Ubilafo, Ukosileze Wodu, Bamanga Tuko, Ali Modu Sharif, and of course, Iche Secondos. Only one PDP national chairman, and that's Ali, served out his tenure and stepped down without rancor.
Well, the agitation that is in the air for the resignation of the incumbent national chairman of the party, that's Dr. Iyorchia Ayu, who himself was the Senate president during the aborted Third Republic, took a different turn this week when members of the agitating camp pulled out of the presidential campaign council of Atiku Abubakar.
The decision was said to have been taken at a meeting held in Rivers State by members of the camp, including Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, former governors Jonajang, Odushegun Mimiko, Ayo Fayose, Ibrahim Dankwambo, and of course Donald Duke. Former Deputy National Chairman of the party, Chief Olabode George, also completes the list of those who attended that meeting.
And as you can see, Claire, the names you just mentioned, these are no small fries at the party.
Indeed.
Yeah, these are big names who at one time absolutely had had executive positions in the country or had also held leadership positions in the party. Now they are group members reserved, as we said earlier, not to have any dealings with the Atiku Campaign Council until the national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, vacates his seat.
Of course, he has said he has no intention of doing that. But the presidential candidate, that is former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, is however insisting that the national chairman, Senator Ayu, can only be removed if he so chooses, or by the provision of the party's constitution. Now the question is, what does that portend for the PDP ahead of 2023 presidential elections? That will be the thoughts of our conversation on Good Morning Nigeria today as we focus on the internal party wranglings in the PDP. I am Claire Abilabu Abdulrazak. Thank you for joining me.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join Claire to also welcome you to the program. Live as always on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We're broadcasting from our Abuja headquarters studios. We shall also, in the course of the program, have our complimentary segments, and this will include business and newspaper review. Thank you, Colin, for the business package on Good Morning Nigeria. Coming up next is newspaper review.
All right, welcome to the newspaper review segment, and we'll begin with Friday Al Jazeera. It has as its lead story, insecurity. Ondo will acquire AK-47 for defense, according to the state governor, Keredolu. He says, what is good for Katsina, good for us. Police deny arming Katsina vigilante with AK-47. Details of that story you can find on page 8. And just to the left-hand column, UNGA, that's United Nations General Assembly, Tallinn nominated Africa's leading women. Details of that on page 12. Police have role on credibility of 2023 polls, says IGP. And suit seeking declaration of the Coronado seat vacant, satanic by Ohanese. Details of that on page 22. And on the other side of the paper, 62nd Independent Anniversary to celebrate Nigerians' resilience. You can read up all the details on page 12. And federal government appoints acting postmaster general. It's also on page 12. And Tambuwal succeeds Pioneer as governor's forum chairman. Details of that on page 4. And that's the outlook on the front page of Friday Al Jazeera.
All right, we also take a look at the Daily Trust newspaper. Daily Trust, you have the following headlines. ASU, NIDA says IPPIS and Utah soil integrity tests as reps summon SGF, AGF and others. Governors and BOT in fresh move to resolve PDP crisis. Police kill 16-year-old artisan, injure 2 others in Jos. The news story has a double-decker headline and begins with the kicker, Buhari to investors. Capital inflow a major challenge. We categorize our stolen crude as blood oil. That's according to Kiari. That's the CEO of NNPC Limited. Categorize our stolen crude as blood oil. Nigeria needs help to tackle debt burden. That's attributed to the African Development Bank president. Okay, no addition. Emefiele interest rate will continue to rise. And then 2023, IGP, Inspector General of Police, puts police commanders on alert. Baz Amotekun, ESN, that is Eastern Security Network, and others from election campaigns. Warns politicians against violence and hate speech. Abu Salami Committee invites Tinubu, Atiku, Obi, and others for peace accord. So, these are the headlines on the front pages of the 2 newspapers we have this morning. I believe there are stories in other papers that we don't have the hard copies right here. But there is a story that we don't have on the front pages of these papers today, but it's been available online, Claire. And that story has to do with an incident that was reported to have occurred in Gariki here in Abuja. Some accounts said it was in area 11, and of course our Abuja headquarters studios is in area 11, but you also have residential locations in area 11 here, and it has to do with the alleged assault by one Professor Zainab Duke Abiola had made, and another aide who is now said to be on the run. They were reported to have assaulted and injured police inspector Teju Moses. the Inspector General of Police, of course, has issued a statement through the first public relations officer. The photograph of the police officer has also gone viral. Inspector Teju Moses was said to have declined the instructions to her to engage in performing domestic chores for Professor Zainab Duke Abiola. She said that wasn't the reason why she was sent to act as an orderly or provide security for Professor Zainab Duke Abiola. Professor Zainab Abiola is described as a human rights activist, according to the account. Now, the photograph that has been published online shows the bloodied head and face of Inspector Moses, Inspector Teju Moses, and the IG says, look, the case should be investigated and trial commenced as swiftly as they can put the case file together. So now that's a good development to see that put the case file together. I know that about my chief concern with that story, apart from what the IGP has said they should do, which is a right step in the right direction. But now they also said that they should withdraw whatever police orderly is police personnel was attached to the said Professor Zainab Duke Abiola, and that she doesn't have any relationship with the IG nor the wife of the IG, and that she's dropping the names of those persons. She of course has been arrested, so taken into custody. So, yeah, Claire, you want to say something?
I'm just wondering on what grounds, in the first place, she was given the police,
That's to be honest with you, that is the basic issue to resolve. Of course, we now have criminal assaults which has taken place, and that will lead to prosecution and so on and so forth. Now, when the police authorities now say, well, withdraw whatever police personnel was attached to Professor Zainab Duke Abiola, what the police command should also find out, should also ascertain is who assigned Inspector Teju Moses to this professor. Why was this professor assigned a police personnel? Because if the police personnel, unless Inspector Teju Moses was doing what is commonly referred to as illegal duty, if Inspector Teju Moses was assigned to Professor Zainab Duke Abiola, what was the rationale? Because without her being assigned to Professor Abiola, then the question of saying, look, come and help sweep the house, come and wash plates, come and go to the market, go and buy tomatoes, we don't have onions, go to the street corner there and buy onions, that won't arise. If she were on our duty outside of the home of Professor Abiola, who is said to be a human rights activist, that won't arise. I think that the police authorities should also furnish members of the public with that information. If there are disciplinary measures to be taken against the assignment, this is what we talk about, rent a cop. If we misuse our personnel and then we say that, we don't have enough police personnel, of the 300,000 or 320,000 police personnel that we have in Nigeria, over 100, some people will say 150,000, some other estimates indicate 120,000, who are such duties all over the place, carrying, one of them there with sometime last year or so, carrying a plate of food, following one madam at a party. They also follow men, by the way, Claire. Carry, and I remember seeing, I saw fried rice on that, I saw chicken, saw salad, so on and so forth.
And just to also say that women groups, Women Aid Collective WACOL, in collaboration with Action Aid Nigeria and other women groups, are supposed to be holding a press conference on this particular issue today. And in fact, they have condemned it in strong terms. They say, of course, the use of violence, irrespective of any gender, is condemnable. So I think action is being taken already, and let's hope that the police authorities would also do the needful by furnishing us with whether or not the professor Professor Zainab Duke Abiola was deserving of a police escort.
How do you become deserving of a police? People say police ugly. They describe it as police ugly, police escort. You know, it's become a status symbol in Nigeria to say, oh, you have a police ugly. Yeah, you have if the higher the rank of the police ugly, the better. If you see Mopol, it's also better. Mopol is only supposed to be anti-riot squad of the police. Where you have crisis situations, you deploy them before the military gets in there. So we misuse our personnel in this way and manner, and at the end of the day, you know, we end up with this kind of inhuman and undeserving treatment to Inspector Teju Moses.
And perhaps, Kingsley, it will not be the first time that such a thing would happen, because it probably would have been happening. It probably would have been happening, maybe the first time, the second time, and things just got out of hand.
They just got out of hand. But if any person who sees the bloodied face of Inspector Teju Moses will obviously be shocked. And we don't do that to an officer, a law officer in uniform, or whether in or out of uniform, without facing the consequences. That's an assault to occasionally grievous bodily harm. Now, there's a report that you also have it online that ASU is appealing the ruling by the National Industrial Court. If you recall, Claire, earlier this week, the National Industrial Court granted an interlocutory injunction on the application of the federal government, directing the members of ASU to return to the classroom pending the determination of the substantive suit. But we understand that ASU is appealing. That's the headline that I'm seeing here from the online edition of the Punch. But whether there has also been an application for a stay of execution of that injunction is what is not immediately clear.
All right, I think that does it for us and today's newspaper review. And for more details, you can go out there and get yourselves copies of the newspaper. So let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll begin our conversation for today.
What is Black Day?
All right, welcome back. If you've just joined us, we're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service. It's Friday's edition. And today we're looking at the internal wranglings within the People's Democratic Party. And to key off our conversation, let's take a look at this background report put together by correspondent Ekene Ndulue.
It is now a matter of days to commencement of campaigns ahead of the 2023 general elections, and parties are already dotting the I's and crossing the T's on their campaign programs. But all appears not to be well with Nigeria's main opposition party, PDP, as internal wranglings within the party is posing a threat to a smooth campaign. Contending issues are zoning the presidential ticket of the party, choice of the vice presidential candidate, as well as the national chairman, who aggrieved members of PDP are demanding for his resignation. In the middle of this crisis is Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, who believes that equity demands that the standard bearer of the party should be someone from the southern part of the country. But that was not to be, as the zoning committee opened the race that saw Atiku Abubakar emerge as presidential candidate of PDP at the party primaries in May this year. In the days after the party primaries, Governor Wike and his camp had insisted that the party's national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, must resign to allow an acting national chairman of Southern extraction emerge and lead the party's campaign council for Atiku in the 2023 general elections. To the discontented members, this will allow for equity, fairness and justice within the party. Negotiations after negotiations have been held to resolve the impasse, but all meetings ended in deadlock. The latest shocker came this Wednesday when Governor Nyesom Wike and some other stakeholders in the party announced their discontinuation with the Atiku's campaign council, insisting that the party's national chairman must resign. This happened after a meeting at the country home of Governor Wike, in which PDP members, including governorship candidates, former governors, and some party leaders across the country, maintained that their position is not negotiable. What does this portend for the PDP ahead of 2023 presidential elections? Guests on Good Morning Nigeria shall be looking at issues around the internal wranglings in PDP.
Thank you very much, Ekene Unduwe, for that background report. We have three guests with us in the studios and another guest who is joining us via Zoom. Let's first welcome Senator Olaka Nwogu. Senator Nwogu was a member of the 8th Senate representing Rivers Southeast Senatorial District. Senator, we're glad to have you this morning on the program.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, and then here with us in the studios, Charles Saniago. Charles Saniago is one of the spokespersons for the Atiku Abubakar Presidential Campaign Organization. Charles Saniago, we're glad to have you here in the studios.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
We're having you for the second time in as many weeks as we are discussing this subject matter. Last time it was via Zoom from the quiet waters around the Asaba area. So good to see you here in the studios.
Thanks for having me.
All right, okay. We also have with us here a regular face on Good Morning Nigeria, Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst. Jide, glad to have you this morning.
Thanks for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
And then Claire.
Okay. This is a gender issue. You have left me to introduce this. The only female.
There's no gender. There's no gender in this. Yes.
All right. It's my pleasure to introduce the President Women in Politics, Ebere Ifendo. Ebere, of course, is a familiar face on Good Morning Nigeria. She's joining us via Zoom all the way from Sokoto State. Have you spotted Ebere? Yeah, good morning. All right, thank you for joining us, Kingsley.
Yes. All right, thank you very much, Claire, and we're glad to have all the guests with us, even though, of course, this is a troubling subject matter for members of the People's Democratic Party. I'm sure some other political parties will be celebrating the crisis that appears to be unending in the PDP, even though other political parties also have their own issues. I'm sure they are quenching fires here and there, and as they are quenching another one, of course, is igniting. Let's begin with Senator Olaka Nwogu. Let's help our viewers understand why there appears to be no headway in seeking to resolve this issue. The issue appears also on the face of it to be a simple one. Say, look, the presidential candidate of the party comes from the north, and so they say, according to the president or according to their constitution, the chair of the party should come from the south. And they say the incumbent chair, who is from the political north, should therefore step down. Why? Is it as simple as that, or it's more complicated?
Well, I think it depends on who has a view on it. But I see it exactly the way you put it. It's as simple as it can be. It's a thing of honor. We have a process, and we call that the current president is from the north. And the thinking within the party is that the next president will be from the south after 8 years of northern leadership. So in involving the leadership of IU, it was easy for the party to think along those lines and shift the chairmanship of the party to the north, because that was the next convention before all this will happen. Thinking that the south, the north will produce party chairman, the north will produce candidate. But in the course of political negotiations and zoning and everything else, which our constitution actually obliged us to do, and we did not do, it turned out that the north produced the chairman. Then the chairman himself, Ayub, said, if this were to happen, I will quit. He said so. Nobody raised it before he came up with it. I will quit. I will leave. it has happened that way, and suddenly the man will not quit anymore. So honor, dignity, the simple things that make a man a man, which is the capacity to keep his word, and his word is his bond. It's at issue. So
does anyone have you on record as making this pledge?
I have it in my tape here. I'll play it for you if you want to. Yes. I'd like it to you before I leave here, or if you want, I get my phone, I play it for you. He said, I will leave. If the chairman of the presidential candidate of the party were to come from the north, I will resign. I will play it for you here. So now, you see, it may be easy for people to put spin to it and say what they want to say. But it's difficult for people who have honor to live in that space. Not everybody accommodates this, everything is fair. You just say something, deny what you said, or disown yourself, and you think it may be convenient for you. So other people will just find that space too toxic to play in. And if I can get that tape to you, which is right here, and we play it, and people say, then there's no issue. We begin to wonder what society we want. We want to lead Nigeria. We want to keep our party united. But we ask that within ourselves, we should honor ourselves, we should keep our words, we should be those people that Nigerians can trust through and through. And we undermine every effort at victory with this simple issue. It looks intractable, but it's the most. Kids in school, we simply tell themselves this is not true and resolve it in less than an hour. And it's taking us weeks and months.
At what point did he make that statement? At what point did he, say that he would resign?
You see, somehow he said it severally in meetings with stakeholders and all. But in this particular one, I think it was an interview with a reporter. That's why it's on tape, because they asked him and he answered back. And this was before the primaries.
Okay, Senator Ogu, thank you very much. We hope we will have access to that tape we were talking about.
My phone is here.
We will give you the opportunity to reach it, but we will also enter a caveat so that if we know the full surrounding circumstances of the clip that you are playing back to us, then we will also enter a caveat that Ayocha himself is not immediately available to respond to some of those issues, but it will help illustrate this so that our viewers can have a better understanding of what's playing out. I want to bring in Charles Aniago again. And a couple of weeks ago when we had this conversation, you brought in a very interesting perspective, one that Senator Nwogu has also touched on. Senator Nwogu takes, if you may, a pan-Nigerian view of things to say, the incumbent president is from the north. And so the expectation is that from the 2023 elections, the next president will come from the south. But I recall that 2 weeks ago when we had this conversation and we had you via Zoom, you introduced an interesting dimension to that particular argument. If you wish to recast it and as well as respond to the other points that you raised.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity given to us to deal with these issues. One, I'm very, very happy for two reasons. I'm from the same southern part of the country with my elder brother, Senator Nwogu. Secondly, both of us also belong to the same political party, governed by the same rules of that party. He has said it is simple, but we will go to the rules of the party. First of all, talking about issue of playing tape as to what Ayu said. I don't think Ayu has denied that he said so. But we need to look at the issues between what he said and the law of our party, which one is superior. But before I do that, let me go back to 2006. So that one thing that is constant between whether you are from southern Nigeria or northern Nigeria is that you are a Nigerian. So in which case, no matter what part of this country you are from, as a Nigerian, you must think the country first and not to begin to put this sword and always want to divide us, north, south, and make it a very big issue. In other developed climes, nobody talks this way. You look at what works for the people. Our President Buhari, is from Katsina. I am not too sure life has become far better for those in Katsina than it was in 2015. So in which case, it is about what the president gives to the people and not where the president comes from. Now coming to the issue at stake.
The president or his spokespersons are not here to immediately.
No. That's why I said I'm not too sure. I'm saying I am not too sure.
But you are thrown into him regardless.
So now let me comment to the issues he has raised. In 2006, he has been a member of the PDP even far before I joined. In 2006, to the best of my knowledge, President Obasanjo was the president of this country, and Ahmadu Ali was the chairman of the PDP. The primary of the party was conducted. Umar Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memory from Katsina became the presidential candidate of the PDP. Ahmadu Ali prosecuted that election until Yar'Adua was elected and he became a candidate and became a president before the party went ahead to conduct another election to bring in somebody from the southern extraction. He prosecuted that election. Nobody asked him to leave because a northern candidate has emerged. He knows very well because he's a member of the party. In 2006, you can check the records, Ahmadu Ali from Kogi State. And thereafter, he passed on. Later on, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan became the president. And when he became the president, automatically, the man in the south, because the power has shifted to the south, when he became the president after the death of Yar'Adua, the man from the south, Obulafo Vincent, still remained the chairman of the party until the time when they were to do election. He did not leave immediately. Because these are tenured offices. But beyond the issue of tenured offices, they have been talking about the issue of zoning. Zoning in the constitution of our party speaks to one very, very important thing, and that is zoning of offices and zoning of positions. The position of a presidential candidate is not an office. When you contest election, let us assume tomorrow, God forbid, that the North, in this case now represented by the person of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, loses the election, and I said God forbid because I know he will win. And you have taken away what you are giving to them by way of zoning. You tell them, okay, you know this chairman was in your area before, now let us go and bring it back. The difference between what we are saying and what they are saying is timeline. Our presidential candidate, and even you, is on the same page that there is a need to shift the position of the chairman to the south. But immediately after the election, because we have a bigger picture in front of us, so that after that, we now do this what we are talking about, just as it was done in 2006. But beyond that, for me to wrap up so that we can also go to the other guests I have on the program. When we look at these issues and say it's as simple as 1 minute, if Ayu steps down, that is not the problem. The way that Ayu stepping down is not the problem. The movement of the position of the chairman from the north to the south is the problem, not Ayu stepping down. By virtue of the provisions of the constitution of the party, the national chairman comes from the same region from where the deputy national chairman who takes over comes from. And by law, the moment the national chairman steps down by virtue of section 45 of the PDP constitution, once the national chairman is removed by the party or he steps down, the next in line by virtue of section 45 of the constitution is the deputy national chairman, who oftentimes by virtue of our constitution comes from the same region as that chairman. And in this case, the national chairman of the party is Damagu.
Deputy national chairman.
Deputy national chairman is Damagu. So even if Ali leaves, Damagu will step in. I want my elder brother, a man I respect so well, to tell us why are they not discussing what will happen to Damagu if Ali steps down. Then tell me as a rapport, the national secretary who is third in line in the hierarchy of the PDP is from the south. In the person of Senator Ayan from Imo State. And by convention and the principles of our party and the constitution of our party, the national chairman and the national secretary don't come from the same region. The reason is that both of them actually run the party. The national secretary runs the secretariat, the national chairman heads the entire party. So even if we are moving the national chairman, assuming without considering that it's possible to move the national chairman and prevail on Damagu to also step aside, and you bring these two positions to the south, you must also engineer a process that must take the national secretary back to the north for the purpose of assuming that balance. And the national organizing secretary too usually is from the same region as the chairman because of ease of operations. So when they say that it's just are you stepping down, that is easy. Are you stepping down is very easy. But moving the chairmanship position from the north to the south will offend the spirit and intent of the constitution of the PDP, and my elder brother knows.
Okay, that's where Jide Ojo will come in here now. So it's a case of equity versus party constitution. But first of all, I also like you to speak to the fact that we don't have proof yet that the national chairman had given his words, to resign if the president of the party, the presidential candidate of the party, comes from the north.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians. As somebody who is independently observing this whole scenario and Braha, I think there is more to this than meet the eye. Both camps are not saying what actually is at the heart of the issue. And I would blame the party for abandoning its own zoning principle as being the rationale behind this whole crisis. How do I mean? He said there will be rotation. Like the distinguished senator said, ab initio, everybody thought PDP presidential candidate will come from the south. But they set up Samuel Otuan committee to discuss that. And Otuan said, let's throw it apart. Let's throw it open. If they did not throw it open and they stick by the principle of zoning, a southern candidate will have emerged. And if a southern candidate emerges, there will be no need to say, I must go. But you threw it open, everybody knew, or for those who are political watchers, if you go back in history, Senator Ayu and Vice President Atiku has come a long way together, politically. And bringing Ayu to the chairmanship position itself, in my own estimation, was done, I don't know what to say, in bad faith. Because this is what you get when you do this issue of adulting and just bring one person and it's you we want to be the next chairman. If it had been thrown open and it was competitive, my recollection is that Aju was made a sole candidate. He was like a consensus candidate to come to that position. And that's the wrong, when I say our political parties are afraid of competition, they are afraid of election. This is what you get. And that is why Governor Wike was sitting back to him, that before he was made chairman, he was picked from the gutter, he was pleading, he was committing to so many things that he is now the original. But I did think that he brought for, like everybody, there were 5, 7, 10 contestants, and he emerges through a competitive election. That will give him all this mudslinging about how he emerges as a candidate. He was calling everybody. Now he became governor. He's calling us children. Before he was made chairman, he was thanking me. He was pleading with me. It will not have happened. So from that moment down to throwing open the position of chairman, presidential candidate, and Atiku imagine, because this is what they are not telling us. I think being that Governor Wike is holding on to whatever Senator Ayu had promised, and which Senator Olaka said the senator promised, the national chairman promised to resign.
That's what the Governor Wike's camp is holding on to.
But you also have the response. You also have the response of Honorable Charles that he's not denying that he said it. He has never openly said, I never said that. But the party is looking at the bigger picture. What is the bigger picture? Next Wednesday, campaigns are doing that. If you are going to remove you remove 4 other people. Or whether you want to call it swap or whatever. You remove you remove the deputy national chairman, you remove the national organizing secretary, you remove the secretary of the party. Because of the way it has been zoned. Now, while you are supposed to be campaigning to be president, you want to organize a special convention. Is it that easy to organize another special convention, looking at the logistics of having to do that very close to election? So the AU camp is saying, only slowly, let's prosecute this election. At least 2 examples have been given, and we are all live witnesses to those examples. That in 2006, Senator Ahmadu Ali was the chairman of the party, and he's from Kogi State, and late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua on December 16, 2006 became the national candidate of the party.
The front lines were different as at the time.
No, it's not that the front lines being different. It's history. We are tracing history. What were the front lines that were different? They are talking about unifying the party. But you see, everybody is singing, you must go, you must go. You see, you don't cut your nose to spite your face. You has not said he's not going. You said, let's have the election and let's have the victory. When we have the victory, even before inauguration, I can leave, because it then means that our president for the next 4 years has come from the north, and I will not be in a position. It will not be following the principle of justice, equity, and fairness to remain in that position. So it's about timelines.
All right, Jide Ojo, thank you very much. Let's go over now to Sokoto, where we have Ebere Ifendu, who is joining us via Zoom. We see her on the right side of the screen. Let's have your perspective on this whole controversy in the PDP.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Yes, it's very interesting. It's a party internal wrangling. It's normal. Most of the political parties as we have in Nigeria today, they are all having internal issues, from ADC to APC, virtually all the parties. But one interesting aspect of it is that you don't get women involved in all this. Because even when they share positions, they don't look at us as people who can get up to become like the party chair or secretary. And so you see, they make great problems for themselves.
I like that.
So you see, make great problems for themselves, and also to suffer from it. When you look at the list that INEC just released and the number of women contesting elections, you will see that the effect is actually from internal party politics. So we have been saying that we need to have a standard party, political parties respect their constitution and have internal democracy. For me, it will give us more opportunity to have women on board. Be it as it may, the problem with PDP is one that can be solved. It can be solved easily. When I was listening to Mr. Anago from Delta State, I think I'm right, he made clear statement and then analyze the issues. And I think I will go with him. I will go with him because it's not an easy task to change an entire party executive. Because when you change the chairman, change the deputy chairman, change the secretary, organizing secretary, you have changed the heart of the party. And this is not the right time to do that. But again, I want us also to respect Governor Wike in all this. He's been a strong party man. Having stayed with the party through thick and thin, having contributed to the party, I would suggest that the party, yes, I know that they have sent delegations to him, they should do more. I listened to him yesterday. One good thing I took out from his statement yesterday, he's made it clear that he will not be leaving the PDP. And this shows you that this is someone that is committed to the party. So I will plead and ask that in setting up this peace accord and all these things, can PDP decide to use their women to go to Wike? Let the women be the ones to intercede. In crisis situations, men do not know how to handle it because of personal ego. They should send women, PDP women. Professor, yes, PDP women, Professor Atole, the national woman leader. She can mobilize other women and go to Governor Wike to see what they can do to resolve this. Believe me, if women should take up this position, there will be peace in PDP. I think, again, I will say this. I was listening to when we talked about the deputy national chairman. I was laughing when the person started. I said, it's not just about how you live in. Because if you remove IU from most party constitutions, you will find out that it's the deputy from that zone that will complete the tenure of the chairman that resigned for whatever reason. So this is a simple problem. This can be solved, but when there is internal conflict, be it within the country, be it outside the country, be it in outside political party, if you don't involve women, you will never get it solved. So this is the right time for PDP to look inwards and make use of God-sent women that they have in their party. Thank you.
Thank you, Ebere. Thank you. And let's come back here to the studio now. Senator Laka Uwogu, you've listened to the views. Is your camp also considering the bigger picture, as Charles and other guests have indicated? Beyond equity, are you also considering the constitutional implications of what would happen if IU, steps down?
I'm going to
resign.
I'm going to answer that, but please just allow me make some, because I listened to our respected lady from Sokoto. First, she's asking for women inclusion, the justice for women. And you see, this is why this problem will never be solved. You are there saying women are denied opportunities and involvement, they are not there. If you believe so, then you should be one of the people advocating for what's just at all times. You can't ask for justice in one way and then you're asking others not to get it. You're saying, I stand with Charles, because I like what he has said. Charles himself has admitted that IU said so. IU has never denied it. Then why can't we call out injustice? Why can't we call out dishonor? If you said something and you lead a party that's going to provide leadership for this country, you stand by your words. She says there it doesn't matter. We appeal to Wike. You want to tell women to go appeal to Wike to do what is wrong or not fight for what is right, because that will bring peace. What kind of peace do you want without justice, without honor, without truth? So each time I listen to my brother he said this way and also said the other way. I mean, if an analyst is trying to bring out the issues, he's not taking sides. But until men find the courage to deal with this thing, the privilege you have from me here is I'm somebody who has been the wrong side all through it. I've been like a fly on the wall. I was in the meeting between Atiku and Wike in London. I sat through that meeting. I was when Atiku visited Wike, I visited our presidential candidate and said, I stayed with him and talked about these issues. It's something I've been in. And it's a very simple thing. We're in Port Harcourt, and let's be clear, it's not about North and South per se. Because in Port Harcourt, Wike supported Tambua. Atiku won. Tambua did not make it. But if you recall that election, there was no Southerner in it. It was all North. Because at the time, the view of the party is that Brian is going for second term, we are going to field a Northern candidate. So all the Southerners stayed away from, were not even allowed to take part in that process. It produced a Northern candidate, Atiku. And it's also on record that Wike gave Atiku the biggest support. Both in votes and material terms, the highest support Atiku enjoyed. We go and check the records. Rivers State contributed the largest, more than any other state. So it's a thing where Wike is a good party man, but it's also somebody who stands for what is agreed. Our constitution clearly says that we shall rotate power. When we didn't do that, and we didn't do that in spite of the fact that the parties have made the mechanism for that by the production of IU, a Northern chairman, believing that the South will produce the candidate. When it did not happen, and he set it as a condition precedent himself. If this does not happen, I shall do this. From that point, he actively participated in the election, not just as chairman, but as a party to the election, when after the election he went visited Tambua and himself said, the hero of the convention is Tambua. He has produced a candidate that he wanted. And they have made Tambua step down. I said, this is new, fair. He said he has a chance to do, he has a right to abdicate that chairman's position and do what he did. But from that point, people said, okay, fine, you go what you want. Now, what you said, from that point, and somebody tell me that his honor as a chairman to resign is inconsistent with what the party needs, or that the time, we have 5 months to election today, it was about 7 months ago, that 2 months ago, about 7 months to election that this started. How much time do you need to be what's just? You look at 5 governors, almost 8 states and more. You look at the stakeholders of the party, and for one man, you say injustice is superior to justice simply because either the time or the swapping of offices. In the meeting in London, they discussed the swapping of offices. They discussed the process. They literally agreed, and I say this on my honor. They literally agreed. There was no doubt. Atiku agreed, Wike agreed, and you will go. And they gave themselves 1 week to perfect the process. So it was a shock to me who sat through that meeting when I found that what happened the week after, or a few weeks after, was that Ayu was being given a vote of confidence in a process that the candidate himself was presiding, and there had been no recourse to those he negotiated with in London. And I am just at a loss as to how we weigh things. If you want an inclusive party and you want to unite your party, all these arguments about, it's easy to tell the agreed, forgive. It's easy to tell the downtrodden, leave it. But if you don't call out injustice, it continues. We are trying to build a party of inclusion. We can want Kano, we can want Katsina, we can want Tobi, we can have great supporters in the north. So he's not speaking as a southerner. He's speaking as a man who wants that our country is united. As a party, we come into leadership with a sense that everything and everybody is important, and everything is more for the honor. It might be like, because this is the north, let it go to the south. No, but that's not the issue. It's about the honor of an individual. You states, we are the highest officers in the process for our party, are the candidate himself, the party chairman, and the DG of the campaigns. These are the people who literally lead the party through its campaigns. And when the chairman of the party is somebody who cannot keep his word, that is both on paper, is admitted by his own defender, we say just let it go. Senator Wogo, there are 2 issues I would like you to respond to, and those issues were raised by Charles. The first is the collateral consequence of Ayu resigning his position as chairman. And the second point, which he also raised, is the historical view of things. That the PDP had been down this path in the past. It started 2006 and it started 2010 and 2011. 2006 was Senator Ahmadu Ali, and then 2010, when President Goodluck Jonathan moved from acting president to president and then contested the 2011 election, we had Vincent Ogbolu. So those 2 examples, you say, look, you had them from the same region, from the same regional south and then regional north, and then they went through the election. After the election, then you don't have the switch of chairs. You see, I don't want him to be selective memory thing. 2 things are critical there, Charles. One, the incumbent presidents in both issues were PDP presidents, and they were from the south. So even the idea of this office is there, bring it here, is counteracted by the fact that the most important officer in the nation that time on the party were southerners. So leaving the office further, if you took that office, national chairman, from the north to the south, you will add a national chairman to President Obasanjo So he didn't look into that. He just saw Yar'Adua and Mamadou Ali without looking at the fact that the incumbent president there. That's one. Two, when we talk about tenure, which are here, you had 4 years tenure, Secondaries had 4 years tenure. Did you not take office before his 4 years ran out? At the time you was taking office before Secondaries' 4 years were complete. At Secondaries is in court, the case is coming up next year. At the time he was taking office or becoming a candidate, he didn't have a sense that this man has 4 years, he must complete his 4 years. He took that office, no, he know he has 4 years. Check our history. You will not count more than 2 chairmen who ever did, or not probably 10 chairmen that did 4 years. We elect chairmen, but more of the time is the expediency of the party. That the link of the party will look at what suits the party at that time. And that is why chairman after chairman, we have checked the whole history. They will go at some point because the entire party will come. All that is here is if I know, God forbid, if I knew no more, will PDP not continue? It will continue. By God's grace, we will have a long life. But my point here is that it's not about the individual. It's about what is expedient. A man says, I will leave. The party's neck can call him out. And this idea of 4 people have to go. They provided a roadmap on that. Atiku considered it. Said, okay, I will review it with my people. It's not such a difficult thing. Even if you were to hold a convention and that will save our party, check the cost. When you have the collateral damage today is not putting you aside. Because you're actually governor of Enugu, governor of Oyo, governor of Rivers, governor of Benue, governor of Abia. You're telling so many former chairmen serving. Even the candidates themselves, who are not less than 15 of the party, of the good candidates of the party. You're telling a whole lot of people, go to hell, it doesn't matter. You're telling so many states. The collateral damage in itself is the dishonor and the injustice and the parading of you through the states of this country as chairman of a party in dishonor that cannot keep his word to come and tell Nigeria, I'm coming to have a relationship of fidelity with you. We are going to do this. What contract can we have with Nigerians with a leadership that is dishonorable?
Charles, what is the disposition of your presidential candidate at the moment? We've been getting quite a number of reactions from him.
Well, before I go to that, let me also make some corrections from what my elder brother here said. Ayu did not take over until Secondaries' tenure was done. And I'll tell you what happened. When Secondaries was more or less handed out of office, the rest is history because you know what happened. The party had to wait, because he was in court, had to wait till the terminal date of his exit before Ayu was running. And the party did that because they didn't want to have issues of court. And when Secondaries was handed out of office, some person, those who were behind it, wanted Navid from Bauchi to take over from Secondaries in the protest that the deputy national chairman South was bedridden and that he cannot preside. The elders of the party and the legal advisors say, caution, say no, that you will be offending the constitution of our party. They have to more like practically tell the man to come and preside over the neck, which is the second decision-making body of the party, the second highest decision-making body of the party. The convention is the number one. And the neck does the job of the convention until it is ratified. The National Working Committee holds free until the addition is also ratified in NEC. That's the hierarchy. You see, my brother said there was a roadmap, though he didn't tell us that roadmap. He also asked him if Ayu leads, since they are talking about honor. Ayu's words have now become stronger than what is in our constitution as a party. They keep saying, Ayu said this, Ayu said this. They don't want to go into what our constitution says. What has happened over the years in this country is that leaders come together, quote and unquote, so-called leaders come together. They forget that the people they are leading also have a stake. Those who are leading may not be in that meeting, but do you know what represents those who are leading? The law. The law is made to protect those weak people who may not be in that meeting.
But it would also, appear that the national chairman was equally oblivious of the constitution when he made that promise.
Whether he makes the promise and discover, you have covered the National Assembly. If you pass a law today, even when you pass a law today, and that law in proceeding to the president for his assent is discovered to have one ultra-virus, where do you come? You send it back for amendment. That is even when you pass a law, not to talk of words of mouth. Now, I am saying that Ayu didn't say he's not going to go. But what is the collateral damage? If the whole National Assembly of 469 individuals, 360 in the House of Reps, 109 in the Senate, will make a law, and then send the law, you know many times it has happened, send the same law as colleagues who cover the National Assembly, you know what I'm talking about, to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And at the point of examination, they are able to discover that this law is running contrary to the provisions of the Constitution, which is the ground norm. What do? The President sends it back. That is even a law that has been looked at by 469 persons, in addition to the many stakeholders that were involved in the public hearing. He knows. He made law in the House of Reps. He proceeded to the Senate. He knows how many of the laws they made with all their eggheads thinking, and yet they take that law and then it comes back. That's even a law. Not to talk of the words of a man who, in the course of time, he discovered that what he said is offending the spirit and intent of the Constitution. And you are saying it's honorable. So it's honorable.
With due respect, can I just interject for 1 minute? You see, when we talk about breach of our law to remove Ayu, our law anticipates both removal, resignation, everything. The office does not breach our law.
But can you also tell us when that chairman leaves, by virtue of Section 45 of the Constitution, what kills next? Tell us.
Let me tell you what happens. You see, we have this, what you're referring to is the proviso that if the office remains in that zone, if the president, the chairman leaves, the president
the Damagum also promises that when you leave, that he will also leave.
No, you see, there are two things here driving this. One is the fact that Ayu himself admitted to why he should leave.
You can't
if you allow me.
But the Damagum also promises that he will
allow me have a minute to answer that. Ayu's leaving was not so much because it's confident that honor, but Ayu said he will leave for a reason, and that reason is the unacceptability of keeping the chairman, the candidate, and the chairman. So the reasons for which Ayu said I will leave affects Damagum to that extent. Now we have capacity to engineer our process where we will keep Damagum, because I'll tell you a simple way. Both of them, Ayu resigns, Damagum resigns, Ayu, the South takes over, which there is even a deputy chairman, and you can bring somebody from the South. Damagum is reinstated, and we simply have Damagum as national chairman. It's just a process. This process,
do you have the time for that?
What are the
one meeting and it's over. I can tell you one meeting and it's over. Now, that is fine. If the Lord says, okay, for this reason, we want this, you oblige them, you must give. The issue here is that you saw what you are refusing to admit that made him say, I will do this. He didn't say it because he didn't know what to do. That's what know.
All right, okay, all right. Senator Charles.
Now, you have interjected. I wanted to land.
Yes, land. At what's your altitude now? 35,000.
Now, look at his interjection. He's saying that Ayu resigns because he says so. Okay, I agree. Assuming without considering. He now says Damagum that he did not hold meeting with. Damagum that is empowered by the law. If you recall, in the case of within the same party, I mentioned it, what happened with the man who was even in the sick bed. They have to go and bring him to preside over the neck. The neck of the party met and said, we have examined these issues. And Ayu says, if the party asks me to go in the neck, I will go. The neck of the party met. And this is democracy. And said, no, we are giving you people vote of confidence to be able to help us prosecute the agenda because we have done well in Osun. These same members of the party who say they are party members, who have respect for the party, doesn't even want to respect the decision of the neck. You use press conference to want to vitiate the decision of the neck. So what we are pleading with them, the reason why we are pleading is because Atiku wants to run with everybody on board. What they are demanding, what is the problem of this timeline? In 6 months' time, this election would have been done and dusted. And then everything you want to change can change. He says in one meeting, We are not talking about appointed people. We are talking about elected people. In one meeting, you will sit down, you balkanize your constitution, you rape your constitution, and you want to bring a doctor to perform a surgery for that constitution that has been raped to become so put in place. So when you hold a meeting, unfair. When you hold a meeting, portrayal of the issue. I am happy that Jide is here, who is not a member of our party. When you go to a meeting and you reverse everything that is in your constitution for the purpose of convenience, and you want to have a stable society, and that law is the only thing that protects others who don't have opportunity of attending that meeting, because it is in the law. It is in the law that you protect, you put those safeguards.
I'm looking back to what our founding fathers tried to create, and everything we're doing will turn some of them in their grave. The whole essence was inclusion and dispersal of positions, and that is why these geographical zones, geopolitical zones, were created by PDP. From G18 to G34, everything they try to do is an enduring Nigeria where everybody was about to create the zones. No, it was the party thing. It was about the test. You are the one raping our constitution. You are the one refusing to honor the spirit, the intent, and the reasons, the founding principles of our founding fathers. We never have allowed them to.
All right, thanks. Let's clarify this point. The idea of the 6 geopolitical zones was created by Dr. Alex Ekweme, who was vice president to Alhaji Shehu Shagari during the Second Republic. Alex Ekweme came up with that idea during the 1994-95 Constitutional Conference organized by Abuja. But of course, we do know that the conclusions of that constitutional conference never then became the constitution of the Federal Republic, but aspects of it now from the fulcrum of what we now know today as 1999 Constitution as amended.
And what the PDP responded on.
That's right. Alex Ekweme was a member of G34. It was a member of G34. Well, to say that it was his idea. It was on the floor of the Constitutional Conference.
The issue was under the administration of Abacha.
That's what I'm saying, but I'm saying
the idea. The administration that brought it to be.
Wait now, Charles. Fine. Let's pause you guys. Jide, let's also step back and let's get your view as an independent analyst. Some persons have suggested that part of what we are seeing today are the lingering consequences of PDP's loss of power in 2015. That namely, the circumstances, and that's another issue, we'll come to that, the circumstances under which PDP lost power in 2015 literally put the party in disarray. And that it fell on the lot of Wike to then, as it were, stabilize the party, take it through thick and thin, and all that. But the argument has arisen as this crisis has been blazing that one, Wike took charge of the party, and it is alleged that he's been installing and removing the leaders of the party, including Ali Modu Sharif, who came from ANPP and then joined the PDP, and after between himself and Fayose, and after they became dissatisfied with him, he now said, okay, Uche Secondus, you are not going to be the next person. They brought in Uche Secondus, and when Uche Secondus fell out of favor, they said, okay, Uche Secondus, you must go. They removed Uche Secondus, and that it was because Wike, it is alleged, had his eyes on the presidency, that again he engineered, it is said, the emergence of Ayu as chairman of the party. So what is your take on this? I mean, is it that, as the saying goes, at some point, I mean, you dribbled and you got yourself into this cul-de-sac?
Exactly. Let me even backtrack a bit. I mean, just to buttress what you said. Who led PDP into 2015 defeat? Nwazu. From Bauchi. Immediately they lost. They said, Nwazu must go. Nwazu must go. They didn't even wait for the man to finish his tenure. And out of, okay, if I'm the one staple, because you lost, I'm resigning. If you take account from 1999, how many how many PDP national chairman have served out their tenure? I'm not sure they're up to 3.
None.
From Bamanga to call to there was one who was after a million Solomon Audiobe, Bamanga Chuko, Vincent Ogbulafo, Uwodo, Uwodo, up to today. And last year, when the heat of Uche must go, when it became strident, I was like, how many months? 3 months to the end of this man's tenure. Allow him so that you will have a peaceful transition. But the powers that be within PDP stuck to their gun and said he will not be allowed not to recontest, but not to recontest. They will not allow him to recontest, and he will not supervise the transition. Now we are seeing the fallout. You went, package, and brought Ayu less than 2 years, and barely 6 months to election, Ayu must go. The question I will ask again is what is so offensive to the timeline that, okay, because Charles has raised one issue. If peradventure, and this is, if you go into an electoral contest, you have to have at the back of your mind that you either win or lose. Now, if you are looking at this picture about Atiku and Ayu, what if Atiku lose, which is a possibility? If Atiku lose, you will have denied the North the opportunity of providing leadership. And that will mean that after Uche Secondusi is from the South, you have handed Ayu out, or maybe yes, because the man said he's not going to resign. Those are the two options. Either you resign or you are vote of confidence and you are forced to exit. Now, if you hand Ayu out and you lose the next presidential election upon which you are premising this issue of Ayu must go, then what happens to the North? How will you give the North a sense of belonging? So I think that the leaders of the party, and you could see efforts that brought Wabara as the chairman of the BOT, which is to placate and say, okay, if let's make this sacrifice. I've also seen that the members of the Wike's camp that were appointed into the campaign council have all rejected their position. In fact, I learned that Governor Makinde was given a position as part of South. Yeah, he also rejected. Now, digging in, like Ebere said, politics, you cannot run political party without wranglings. It's normal in every political setting, because where there are 12 people, there will be a Judas. But the bottom line is that politics is about conflict and conflict resolution. They still have to find a way. I will appeal. It's an appeal. It's not, this does not in any way take away the fact that Ayu made, if you call it freedom slip, that he was going to resign. Maybe he made that on the spur of the moment, thinking that, okay, now that I have this, because by every standard, we cannot say Ayu is not an accomplished man. He was the former president of the Senate. He was 3-time minister of the Federal Republic. So he is a consummate politician. He has seen it up from the Third Republic up to now. And we are talking of over almost 30 years. So if the man and is an academic of repute, so I'm not sure in Ayu's mindset that if he loses this battle, he will consider himself as a failure, because he has achieved. But the bottom line is that can the Wike's camp respect the timeline that let's have the election in peace, let's join hand to win this battle, this electoral battle ahead of us, because this election coming is an election that is going to be unusual.
Okay, Jude, I have to pause you for here and take a short break. When we come back, of course, we again escalate our conversation. Ebere Ifendo is still with us, joining us via Zoom all the way from Sokoto, and of course, Senator Olaka Unwogo. Don't go away, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our live studio here. It's Good Morning Nigeria, and we're having a very interesting, heated but interesting conversation, and all our guests are still here. So let me just bring in Ebere Ifendo, the only woman in this conversation, joining us via Zoom. Ebere, I'm sure you've been having a wonderful time, but you see, this is the character of most of our political parties, and I'm wondering what you are able to read and what you think impact this might have on the followership of these parties.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. Before I go to your question, I want to, respond to what the distinguished senator there said. When we came on board, I thought we were just looking for the right way, the easiest way, the quickest way to get the violence solved, and then for the party to be able to move on. We are not going to x-ray the justice aspect of what is happening, but he brought it in. So I just want to, respond to that. Distinguished senator, this present crisis in PDP started with the zoning process, and that is where the justice lies. If PDP had microzoned their presidential ticket to the southeast, we will not be having these issues going on. When they said south, take for instance, the last president of PDP, President Goodluck Jonathan, is from the south. What will a south person, what will be the interest of a south person to contest for presidency when the ticket is zoned to the south? It should have been microzoned to the southeast, and there won't be this problem. So when we are talking about justice, can we go back? Because going back to all this will even increase the problem that is within PDP. And some of us said, let us leave that angle and look at the present situation and how best it can be solved. Some of the governors clamoring for justice now. I give an instance from my state. I'm from Abia State. The governor is from the Uber extraction. He's leaving a position in 2023, and he nominated another person from Uber extraction to take over from him. Do you call that justice? The problem is that internal party democracy, especially what is happening with PDP today, is because of injustice. And so if we want to go deeper into the injustice that is existing in PDP, I do not think, sir, we will be talking about justice here. So looking at how to solve this problem, it was the reason I brought in the angle of women. Women who understand better how to handle issues, especially when it comes to conflict resolution. It was the reason I said, can we give out the men with their ego and bring in women to sort out this problem? For the women to reach out to Governor Wike and to Atiku's camp. So the important thing for me as the more people are doing this, the wrangling is on, you are empowering another party to win the election. That is the simple truth. And so it's for the party to now decide which way do we want to go to. Do we want to win this election? If we want to win this election, then everybody will come on board. I said earlier, the good thing is that Governor Wike himself said he won't be leaving the party. And I see that as another thing that is being given to the party, which shows that if he's within the party, it will be unethical. It will be against the party rules if he will remain in PDP to work against PDP. In other words, he is saying that I am open for a peaceful resolution. And like Gideon just invited now, why can't we just wait and have this election as a united party? When I say we, I'm talking about PDP, I'm not a member of any political party, but I want good governance, and I want justice, and I want equity. So what I'm saying here is this: if the party can come together and prosecute the election and win, it will be better for them. And after that, they will begin to reshuffle the leadership of the party. Doing it at this time will create a lot of problems for them. So many people will be angry. So, in political parties, we have what we call leaders. Wike is a leader with his followers, including governors that are following him that he's leading. At People's Camp, they have also who is leading them there. And so if this problem continues, it means that people will take sides, and to the detriment of the party. and which means that the party is just open to losing the election even before the elections gets started. So this is where I'm looking at. In internal crisis, every member of the party is affected. And the leadership of the party, the women in the party, the youth in the party, they will be seen as, they are not even taken into consideration. Otherwise, these leaders that are having these issues would have come together to say, look, we have agreed that we work together, but after elections, by God's grace, if we win elections, we'll be able to, reshuffle the executive, and then whoever we put there will be the one that will lead the party, to execute their mandate. Let us also know that when you are contesting an election, be it as a president, be it as a governor, it is the party, the mandate of the party, the manifesto of the party that you are expected to carry out. So if a party is indecisive, that means they do not even have a manifesto, or they do not even know what they are going to present to the citizens if they finally win that election. So it is in the best interest of PDP at this time to shave off every crisis and work as a party to win and to prosecute their government. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ebere Fendu, for the views that you have expressed. Let's come back to the studios. Senator Olaka Onwogu. It looks like you want to respond to an issue, because I have another matter to put on the table. Very, very quickly, so that I can bring on the issue.
Back to this whole concept. See, I listened to her, and she says, Wike has said he will stay in the party. Do not stay in the party. Wike went to congratulate Atiku, accepts Atiku as the candidate of the party. There is no doubt about that. He respects Atiku. He accepts Okowa as the vice presidential candidate. There is no doubt about that. So it's not about, Wike is in a good place. All Wike is asking, can we do what's right? Can we hold people to their honor? And people say there is no time. And Wike will tell you, but this man will go all over the country making promises to people of what he will do. They have to believe him. They have to believe that he has honor. Meanwhile, his dishonor is in public.
All right, that point has been made earlier. Let me just throw this in. Might this have been totally different if Wike were tapped as the vice presidential candidate to Atiku?
I don't know how much difference that makes, because it's not about Wike being president or not being president. It's about how the
vice presidential candidate.
If Wike was vice presidential candidate
running mate to Atiku,
will Wike be the one asking?
Would all this controversy still?
It's a thing we'll never know, because maybe Ayub may never have made that comment. You see, part of Ayub making that comment appears to be in his zeal, one, to see the office of chairman to the south just to produce a presidential candidate. And it was also in zeal also to pass a message that I really support something, I'm willing to die for it or go for it or make every sacrifice for it. So you will never know whether he will have made those statements, because if Wike will have been, will have probably in a place where he will have been more circumspect, fairer in his leadership of the party, and will never have made such comments. Having made it, we cannot presume what Wike will do or not do, because Wike didn't generate it. Wike is holding me to what you have said, so we will never know.
So what does pulling out of the campaign council mean in totality now with regards to the election?
Wike has always said at the end of the day, election is everybody to your states and to your place. Ordinarily, Wike and the rest of us will have been out there pounding the countrysides, every other state with the team, as we would normally be at all campaigns. But because of this injustice and a lack of desire to address it and unify the party, because clearly our party is divided, clearly these interests are there and they are in your face, and a recognition that people are aggrieved, we must listen to them and resolve it. Because of this lack of desire to even resolve an issue that so many governors and so many people, others, we say, okay, everybody stay in your state, stay in the party, be a good party now, but remain in your state. No decision, and people say that we can work against his party from his state. Why will you presume? If Wike is going to do something, at least this country knows Wike by now, to know that he will say it. So at the appropriate time, Wike will say exactly what Wike and those who work with Wike will say, and there will be no sugarcoating anything. So for those who mean well, and I see all the desire to get something, why we say Wike look at it this way? Why don't you also tell the other people what is so out there? What is so
does Wike feel outraged by what Tambuwal did at the convention?
Only Wike can say that, but I will tell you, as somebody who was friends to them both,
yes,
I will tell you that it came quite as a shock. I was Tambuwal's coordinator in the primaries in Port Harcourt before, when we didn't make it, and now became the coordinator of Atiku in Rivers State
in 2019.
So, and I know the relationship between the two men. Whatever the pressures Tambuwal had to take that stand, which was going to be consequential to Wike, I thought taking your friend into confidence that this is how bad it is, or this is what I must do, because it appeared acrimonious and adversarial, like he must do everything to stop Wike, and that has never been my judgment of Tambuwal. So what exactly happened there? I thought for just whatever they passed, Wike stood out, went out, made some of the issues he had with Atiku because of his support for Tambuwal. So if Tambuwal was taking that decision, which many things may have happened and I'm not privy to, I will think that taking his friend into confidence and saying, look, this is where we are. Maybe even tell your friends, these are the realities for all of us too. You know.
Okay, Claire, I want to throw in task. Permit me to skip you because this is a partisan, a non-partisan perspective. I would like Jide to bring in. This is another question. There is a view that against the backdrop of the experience of the PDP in 2014 and 2015, when it was alleged that PDP insiders worked against the interests of the PDP in the presidential election of 2015, because it was said at the time that power must return to the north. That there is a fear now that if you gave the chairmanship and other critical party positions at the moment to those that the Wike camp is insisting on, that they might also turn around to work against the interest of an Atiku because of the sentiment that after 8 years of power in the north, a different political party, but in the national interest, power should come back to the south.
Exactly. Wike has openly alleged that Atiku should watch his back, that many of the people who are surrounding him today worked against the party in 2015. And we do know historically that part of the, Ebore says something which is, it is becoming synonymous with PDP leaders not to honor their promises. Recall that Babangida Aliyu, as the governor of Niger State, came out to say, and I believe later former President Obasanjo said that President Goodluck Jonathan told him he was going to do one term, and that he reneged, and that was why he is not backing Goodluck Jonathan for 2011 election, but rather
the 2015
for 2015 rather, because he marketed him in 2011 and he told him in private, in confidence, that he was going to do one term. And former governor of Niger State, Babangida Aliyu, said he also said it at stakeholders meeting that he was going to do one term. Then why is he contesting in 2015? And of course, Governor Wike came out very recently to say many people within the PDP worked against the emergence or the victory of Goodluck Jonathan in 2015. So what I'm saying in essence, which is also laying credence to what you said, is that when leaders renege on whatever they say, whether in private or in public, people are bound to see them as being dishonorable. And why are you in this whole mess? May have said, I will go. Like I said, Agi is not an unknown quantity in Nigerian politics, and if I have attained this level of political pedigree, I won't feel that I've not achieved. He's been 3 times ministers and president of the Senate. But the bigger picture for PDP now is it not too little too late to be running campaign and be planning special convention in order to make sure? And what is so special that we cannot wait like 6 months to have this whole swap being done when the victory will have been in their kitty, even before inauguration of the Atiku, if he wins the presidency, before the inauguration they can plan. So the issue we have found, Governor Wike say, oh, there is a 14 billion that was gotten from sales of nomination form that Ayu wanted to preside over, and that's why he didn't want to leave. I don't think Ayu is a poor man, and I'm not sure he wants to eat any money. But the point is, let people of reason, the elders, conscience, and national leaders. PDP has produced, has governed Nigeria for 16 years. Let the leaders of conscience come together and amicably resolve this issue. One way or the other.
Yes. Quickly, we have just few minutes to go. Is your team calling the bluff of the Wike's team, or are conversations, negotiations still ongoing?
Atiku has enormous respect for Wike because we see him as a bulldozer who will help us not only in Rivers to be able to also join us in other parts of the country. Nobody is calling anybody's bluff. Even those who are not even as powerful as Wike, Atiku wants to carry everybody along. And no matter what position Wike and his team maintains, Atiku, like yourself, have maintained a whole level of golden silence. He has been reaching out to them, and he will continue to reach out to them. You saw what happened with respect to the movement of the position of the chairman BOT, which was more like conceding back to the south. So if you are in a game, a democracy, when somebody moves, you also move. You don't just sit down in one place and then you don't want to move. If I may ask my brother, though we don't have time. In 2015, let's not forget, Amici was leaving office. Amici is from the same place as Wike. He did not say let us go to the water side. What Wike said then, I recall, was that you need to first of all have the power before you begin to respect zoning. That the party in Rivers was not in power because already Amici has moved to APC. And that PDP cannot be talking about zoning when they were not in power in Rivers. In Nigeria today, PDP is not in power. Besides, the last president of the party was Goodluck Jonathan from the south. Are you using Buhari of the APC to zone in the PDP when they are operating different constitution? Those are some of the questions that I want my brothers to answer. Then lastly, Adeniran professor from the southwest was running very, very fast to becoming the chairman of the PDP. It was these same leaders who denied the South after having handed out Uche Secondus, who insisted. You saw a very wonderful leader, Wike, saying how Ayu came to beg him. He was very much instrumental to the emergence of Ayu coming from the north. You zone positions, you don't zone non-positions. The vice presidential ticket is not an office. It's not a position. It is after he has won an election, then it becomes a position. Then you now begin to look for, okay, where do we take Senate president to? Where do we take speaker to? At this moment, you can't talk about those things because the man is not occupying any office. So you cannot say that the North already have an office. He's contesting an election, which by the grace of God, we are hoping and praying that he will win. But in the event that God forbid that he doesn't win, he was very clear in answering that question. You do tell the North, or come back now and come and take your chairmanship position.
Senator Laka?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I don't think we are going to an election, and we all seem to agree that we want to put our best foot forward. So I think that, knowing that Wike has respect for Atiku, I know that Atiku has respect for Wike, I would think that the right thing to do is to find accommodation for each other. You cannot look at this matter and say the Wike camp is inconsequential and count it as accommodation, because the number of persons we look at this issue and say, look, it's not as difficult as you make it. The right thing to do is we must look at Nigerians from a view of a new thing. This is by which we put things that do wrong things and say for expediency has to stop. Our country is in a bad place. You can only deal with this country, get it right, by doing those right things and be very aggressive and forthright with them. It starts in the house. What we have here is unacceptable. You have a chairman who everybody who is in public saying, I will do this. and everybody says for expediency, don't do it. That election we want to wait for, that 6 months we want to wait for, is far more than enough time for us to clean our house, have a united house, and give to Nigerians what we have said we will do. We cannot do that by placing a leader. And when you talk about the BOT chairman, and I have my sympathies for him, the old man was practically handed out of office, sacrificed to make room for what you're talking about. Meanwhile, his office was never an issue. The BOT has never been in configuration. That's the chairman of party, president, and so on. Yet, we took this old man, set him aside. If we knew something was wrong, and we can set the old man aside, why would we not leave the weaker old man and deal with this one who is saying strong, but have made a public commitment? He has said something openly. On my honor, we do this. Why don't we call him to his honor? If I tell you the story of the resignation of the BOT man, you even be more upset.
You're talking about Wale Jibril.
Yes, the second didn't want to go.
All right, so the conversation will continue, and we do hope that at some point the People's Democratic Party will be able to overcome its current challenges and join the other political parties. There are 18 presidential candidates in the race. Nigerians are looking forward to very robust campaigns. We want to thank all our guests this morning for the very frank and elaborate insights that they have provided into the bickerings within the People's Democratic Party. Very illuminating. Let's thank distinguished Senator Olaka Nwogu. He was a senator in the 8th Senate representing Rivers Southeast Senatorial District. Distinguished Senator, we're glad that you were part of today's discussion. Let's also appreciate Charles Aniago. Charles Aniago is one of the spokespersons of the Atiku Presidential Campaign Council. Charles, great having you this morning.
Thank you very much.
Jino Ojo, regular Good Morning Nigeria public affairs analyst. Thanks also for your impartiality.
Thanks for having me.
And Ebere Ifendu, who's President Women in Politics. We appreciate your contributions to this conversation. You joined us via Zoom from Sokoto. Thank you very much. All right, Claire, I think that's all that time would permit for us to have, unless we have just about time to take any segment, but I doubt it. Join us on Monday for a fresh package on Good Morning Nigeria. Enjoy your weekend. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
And I'm Claire Adelabu Abdul Razak. Always remember to stand up and take action against rape and rapists. From all of us here, have a good weekend. Bye-bye.